All right, welcome again. It's Monday here. Very many more day, like few more days until Friday. So, but that's just the beginning of the week. But this week we are coming to you. Let's say we are coming to you earlier because I'm going on holidays tomorrow. So we can't do on Wednesday. So we are doing on Monday. But today we are gonna talk about something very important, some very important tool that should be incorporated in every business, every startup,
Mm,
every early business should uh, employ this tool. They should Entrepreneurs should be familiar with that tool, particularly serial entrepreneurs who start one business after another. So empathy map. What's the purpose of empathy map? Empathy map, just to say it briefly, helps us to understand our clients. But before we move to that, I would I will ask Zane to tell us something interesting from his weekend, maybe some learning, because we like to share learnings here. So Zane,
my
come on.
weekend.
Yeah.
So what did uh I think instead of learning, let's do it like a realization, you know. So
Okay.
uh personally I was experiencing this a lot recently, which is uh having to try new things and the challenge in having to keep putting yourself out there and push yourself to achieve something that you want to do, but it might not be easy. So, for example, I've always had ideas of wanting to like start to create campaigns or start to like run marketing ads and all this sort of stuff. But I always have something that holds me back, which is money, and money becomes a thing because it's easy to then start to see how I compare to some of my peers. They earn more than I do, and then I was thinking like, oh, why should I do this? I should just save or just invest or just whatever. But then another part of me that starts to think about myself in terms of this sort of side hustling or entrepreneurial journey, which is, would I regret if I don't do anything about it? And I think I started to find the motivation of why I want to do this. And today, an interesting finding for me is that when I hear people say that and I compare myself to other people, I don't feel good. But when I don't feel good, I start to go, how can I turn that into like a fuel so that I can go in there and do something about it? And for me, that's a big realization, because most of the time people can just compare yourself and then just go, oh, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 blah. But I've gone through that now to go, okay, I don't like this feeling, but how can I turn this so that I can focus it on something that I actually want to do and achieve? So, yeah, still kind of work in progress, but I think this week I had that realization, and I just need someone to hold me accountable to keep going on that journey. What about you? Oh, you're gonna say something?
Um, yeah, I just wanted to say that what you said kind of corresponds to what we're gonna talk about today.
Mm,
So because empathy map is one of the parts of empathy map is about feelings, what your potential prospective customers feel. So let's move on with empathy map, and
cool.
I will talk about it a bit.
Yeah.
You will add something from yourself, and we will see how it goes. So that's how empathy map looks like. Yeah. So it's powered by Canvanizer. They have many great tools, business model canvas as well. So I really recommend this website. I really recommend this template, although very often I also use the template that has a head inside, because like this head inside reminds me that we are talking about a person, we are talking about the live creature that to some extent is unpredictable. We might have some assumptions about them. we might have done some research about our potential customers, but very often we will have bunch of assumptions. And when it comes to those assumptions, probably in 5 weeks, we will talk about a tool that will help you to test those assumptions. But for now, let's focus on this tool, which is Empathy Map, the tool that will help you to learn what your customers need to do, what do they see, what do they say, what do they do, what do they hear, who are they empathizing with, and also what do they think and feel, pains and gains. Okay, so let's start with the easiest one, which is what do they see. This is actually the most obvious, but actually for our practice here, I think we should pick a product or a service and use it as an example for our empathy map. Any recommendations, Zane? Or maybe one of our viewers have some recommendations. That would be great. If not, probably we'll move on with Zane's recommendation.
Do you want something conventional? Do you want something quite tricky, kind of interesting to work on?
I think we want to do it quite short and up to the point.
Okay.
So maybe let's pick something conventional.
Let's do digital watch, shall we? A sports
You
digital watch.
Oh, sports digital watch. So you mean something like
a Garmin.
Like a Garmin, like an Apple Watch?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's. What do they see? So one of the things that they can see, of course, is that, for example, they might have really basic Xiaomi sports watch, which is not as advanced as Garmin. So maybe they see their cheap old watch, and that's what causes some, let's say, I don't know, frustration, maybe insecurity, because they have cheap Xiaomi smartwatch, while their friends from work might have Apple Watch or maybe Garmin. So you have to think about it on many different levels. Maybe it's about functionality, but also it can be about the status, So we have to remember that some products, mostly the expensive ones, give us a status in a society, right? It's, of course, it's shallow to think in such categories that things give us status, but actually that's what marketers do. Like they create a status related to the products that they sell. So maybe also they can see that their friends who have Garments, who have Apple Watch, the measurement of those smartwatches is more accurate, and it helps to optimize their training in a better way than they can with their cheap Xiaomi smartwatch, right? Do you want to add anything here in this section, or shall we move on to what do they say?
I think it's quite straightforward, right? What do they see is just like if you had to picture it in a movie or whatever, what is it that they actually see? And yeah, so if you want to describe it to someone else, the way they describe it, how would you picture it to somebody else? It's basically what they see. So I think that's quite straightforward.
Okay. What do they say? So they say something like, "Oh, my smartwatch is shit," or maybe I would like to have a better smartwatch, or maybe they are not not an owner of a smartwatch at all. So maybe they think like, "Oh, I wish I have a smartwatch," right? So or maybe they say that. If I have a good smartwatch, my sports performance will be better. Maybe if I have a smartwatch, I will be more cautious of doing this 10,000 steps per day to keep myself, moving, right? So you have to think about smartwatch in many different categories, in many different functionalities, and you have to think about those, this you have to put yourself in shoes of a person who has either poor smartwatch, or maybe they don't have smartwatch at all, right? What I wanted to say, like, the good source of an information is always interviewing people. So you go and you talk with your family, with your friends. Maybe you will be able to find some strangers, particularly if you have some budget to spend to, like, let's say, you will give them like £10 Amazon gift card for the interview or something like that. Other ways for the research, that's what I do for marketing, So I go to competitors' websites, Google, Google business card, Facebook fan page, Instagram, and I check their reviews. I check their comments, so then I can learn more about pains of people. So what do they do, what they don't like about certain services, about certain products, about certain brands, and how you can leverage it in your favor. Of course, I'm leveraging it for marketing, while when you are a creator of a product, of a service, you need to leverage this information to create better product, better service, because gaining advantage in the market is always about being better in certain way, quality wise, price wise, I don't know, response time wise. That can also be an advantage of your business over another business, right? Do you want to add anything here in the section? What do they say?
No, that I think that's good. The way you mentioned about if you want to find out what people say, this is for people who are also like doing marketing, etc. A good tip or a good hack is that people talk about copywriting. The best way to get the right copy or to understand how to write things that customer can resonate with is to go on to like an Amazon review, right? Because people write things there, they say all the good things and bad things about the product that they bought. So in this case, if it were me, I would go to check on, I don't know, a Garmin smartwatch to see what people say is good about it and what people don't like about it. And that would be, so instead of you having to come up with copies, people have rewritten it. You just go and pick out the key bits that you want to use, and that's your copy. Straightforward.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do they do? One of the things that they might be doing right now is researching. I think that there are certain customers that they will be like, okay, I need a watch. I will spend like 20 minutes researching different options, and I will buy one. And there are customers like me who spend actually. Oh, Zane, where did you go? What happened, Zane? I cannot hear you.
Oh, you can hear me now.
Oh yeah, I can hear you
I
now.
don't know.
What
I think it's
happened?
my internet. I think it's my
Ah,
internet dropped a bit. Yeah.
okay, cool. Not cool, but cool that you are back.
Yes.
So what do they do? So they can also be uh, researching for a couple of hours. Like, for example, I have a Garmin smartwatch. Actually, this is probably the cheapest Garmin smartwatch that you can get, and I just bought it for my marathon running, and uh, I was just looking for certain features that this smartwatch has, and because it was the cheapest one among the Garmin collection, that's why I bought it. That was it. There was But still, I spent some time researching it. I was considering different models, Garmin, but also some other. But mostly, I was I really wanted Garmin because I thought that that's another thing. I thought that Garmin is the best brand for smartwatches. That's why I really wanted Garmin. I Probably I could have get for the price of Garmin something maybe more sophisticated, but from some other brand. But I was not so sure about the quality. So also you have to take it into consideration, the perception of the brand, right? So what do they do? Maybe one of the things that they can do, they are struggling with what they have right now. So they are struggling with their cheap smartwatch. They are struggling with not having smartwatch. Oh, I was struggling before I got myself Garmin. I was struggling with tracking my running because I was using Endomondo, and at that time, I don't know how it is now, but at that time Endomondo was absolutely shit for running. I was losing it was losing track of me so many times during my runs. So probably I covered more kilometers than my Endomondo showed me. So that's one thing. It's like they are struggling with not having proper smartwatch. They're struggling with tracking performance of their workouts. What do you struggle with? What did you struggle with, Zane, before you get yourself Apple Watch? I guess you have an Apple Watch, right? No, you
No,
don't.
I don't. I actually have a Chinese one, the Huawei
Okay.
smartwatch. So, oops, yeah. So, what I want to do was, I just thought it was cool to have a smartwatch, and also, I think, this links back a bit to what we talked about previously in terms of identifying your ideal customer avatar. I think people our age and with our interest, we want to have a smartwatch, right? We can track things. We have got mobile phones now. We want to see things in our mobile phones. We want to see the data jumping around. So what I want to do is just to one is to like be cool, and two is just that I can look at it. It's all digital. It can show me the data that I want it to do. So it's almost like a customized product that I want for myself. So I can show how I've customized faces of the watch that I want it to be like. So yeah, so that was why I went for one. And like I said, there are so many options out there, but there isn't any other one that I really wanted, or they're just too expensive. So I just went with one that I can live with, and that was it.
Okay. Actually,
Mm.
I have to tell you that I'm the odd one because actually I for like general use I prefer traditional watches. Actually, I
Ah, interesting.
yeah. So right now, for example, I'm wearing a G-Shock, which is pretty old. I got I believe 10 years. I
Oh
I, I
wow.
have I have it for maybe 8 9 years or something like that. But I have few other just traditional watches. I'm a big fan of traditional watches. So probably once I will achieve my business goals, I will get myself something really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay, let's move on to the section. What do they hear? So probably one of the things that they hear, like the things that they hear you. Ah, okay, here. So what do they hear? In this section, you should think about their surrounding. So you should think about their family, their friends, their colleagues, uh, but also radio, internet, television. What else? Strangers uh, on the bus, on the train, um, on the street, wherever they are, at the gym, and they hear like, "Oh yeah, my smartwatch is so cool. It can do this, and this." And this kind of things that they hear can, on one hand, push them into making a purchase. On the other hand, it might be like, yeah, some jealousy is boiling in them, and is pushing even more them towards buying a smartwatch. Like when they hear like, oh yeah, my smartwatch tracked every single step in a day for me, or something like that. It showed me all the calories that I burned on that day, etc., etc. So that's actually, this section is about uh, externalities, let's say. So any external influence that that is influencing them, influence that is influencing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, silly. But yeah, I hope you get what I mean.
That's
um
cool. I was just gonna say that the exactly, it was all about externalities and external influences, right? It's all about what you hear. It's a bit like, even if it's things on YouTube product review, things that the YouTubers say or what you hear from the video are all things that outside forces can influence your decision making process. And if we know exactly what you're there to hear, if you know exactly what you heard to help you make a decision, form a decision, get that, then we know that we're speaking to you directly. So that's, I think exactly. I was just going to mention the externality point, but you mentioned that, so we're good.
Good that you mentioned that, because what you just said about YouTube reviews of products, that's how I bought my CrossFit shoes, because I was looking for some CrossFit shoes, proper CrossFit shoes, finally, because I used to work out in my old handball shoes. So I was looking for CrossFit shoes. I knew that I don't want to spend too much money on them. So researching, and I found some review. So I was looking at these cheaper ones, and then I found some review of these cheaper ones, and the guy said, oh, they have some some cons and stuff like that. And then next to it there was a review of Nike Metcon 6, and I watched the review of Nike Metcon 6, and the guy said that Metcons are the best CrossFit shoes. He explained it why these are the best CrossFit shoes, but the statement, these are the best CrossFit shoes, uh, it just bought me. At that
Mm,
point I was like, shit, I have to have Metcons 6. Like
yeah,
there's no way I'm getting any other shoes than Metcon 6.
yeah. You're sold basically based on what you
Yeah,
hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So okay, who are we empathizing with? Um, Actually, this section doesn't appear too often in empathy maps. This is something additional. So I will leave it. I will skip it because I don't want to tell you something that is untrue. I don't want to make up something right now. The same when it comes to what do they need to do. Of course, like they need to research, they need to make a decision, and they need to purchase your product, right? So something like that. But here, that's essential in this section, that you have to think about your potential customer and their place in the funnel. So if your potential customer is well aware of your of the fact that they have a problem, they know what their problem is, they are well aware of solution. So what they need to do, they need to learn about your company, and they need to be sold your product. Two things. But in case you have a potential customers who are not aware of their problem yet, you have to first educate them on what is their problem. You have to educate them about existing alternative solutions, and then you need to educate them more about your company, about your product, about your service, and why should they buy it. So that's what this section is about. And what do they think and feel? Pains and gains. pains are the pain points. Pains are like pains can be things that we mentioned. So frustration, jealousy, um poor sports performance, stuff that are related to things that they see, say, do, hear, uh, and these are the pains. When it comes to the gains, it's about what they want to achieve, which is something extra, which is something like nice to have. You need to remember that the real value of your product, of your service, is about how you solve problems, how you solve those pains. When it comes to gains, these are things that are nice to have. Your customer can live without those gains. Your customer can live without those things that are nice to have. But your customer cannot live with their pains, with their problems. They need a solution for their pains, for their problems. And that's
Mic drop. You got a nice mic drop there. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very good. That was a good way to end it. Yeah, wow. That was very good. I love
I'm
it.
shocked. I'm shocked actually by the flow that I got at the very end. I guess I should be some motivational speaker or something.
I love it. I love it. It was really good because two things, right? One is that I related back to myself, right, about the story that I just said in the beginning of the video. And it's not so much about what I want to do. It's about, okay, I'm having all this comparison going on, and I realized that, oh my God, I'm not as good as I thought I was being. I was in pain, right? So I just want to get out of that pain, and I was just finding a different way to get around it. So I think you nailed that point. And also talking about pain points, I think a lot of people sometimes like, I don't know what my customer's pain is, or I'm not quite comfortable talking about pain with my customers. But it's absolutely right. Like, you are there to solve a problem. You're not there to do charity. You're there to solve, even charity is there to solve a problem, right? But if you don't talk about a problem often enough, people don't know that the problem exists, then how are you going to help them, And so I think we need to be more comfortable about talking about pain points, about problems, because if we focus on, I'm just there to help someone solve a problem that they have, it might not be for everybody, but if there is someone who has that specific problem, then you're still doing something good out of it. So and last observation before I hand it over to you to conclude is that it's all about five senses, right? The things that you see, you hear, you want to do, you think, how you feel. And all these things at the end of the day is to serve two purposes. One is for you to build a better rapport with your customer, to understand what they're thinking, where they're coming from. That will all translate into you writing a copy, writing a sales page, writing a landing page, so that when they read it, your video sales letter or whatever, when they see it, when they hear it, they're like, oh, wow, this is talking to me. This could potentially help me solve my problem, and I'm going to give it a go. So that was my takeaway.
Because you mentioned about writing things based on the empathy map, but I will link it back to our episode from last week.
Yeah.
Of course, use empathy map to write convincing copies, but the most important thing is that be honest, be truthful, and don't fool your clients that your product, your service is doing things or providing things or sustaining things that they actually don't. So
Absolutely.
don't lie about your product.
Yeah.
Either improve it and make it happen what you want it to be, or be creative and frame your current product, current service in a way that people want to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And also I wanted to add one more thing. So I mentioned about pains. Sometimes there are products that you know a pain of your client is like a invisible wound, you know. And sometimes in your marketing you need to even put a bit of salt on that wound to make it even more painful, to then emphasize how your product can bring a relief to those pains.
Yeah.
I'm not
And that's
saying
what,
that it works for every problem, for every product, but there are some products that's the way to market it, you know.
yeah. I'm not going to go too much into it, but and that's why I say when it comes to pain points and problem, you have to be really good at communicating those in the right way to your customer so that they know what actual problem they are resolving. Because the truth is, if they are not, and they buy your product or they buy your service, and at some point they might forget that they have a problem, life carries on, and then they think your product or service is shit. But it's not that your product or service is shit, it's because you didn't pinpoint that problem well enough for them to know that, hang on a second, this is the problem that we are sorting out now. So that's why you need X, Y, or Z. But it's not a comfortable thing to talk to people about or to communicate with people about. That's why it has to be done in a honest, but in a very right way, right? I can't remember who I heard this from. I think it's like Jay Abraham, like one of the greatest marketing guys in the world. He says your job as a business owner is to make sure, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly what he says, but is to sell them exactly what your customers need, not more, not less. But if you're not selling them enough to solve that problem, it's your fault. But if you're selling them too much or in a deceitful way to give them something, then it's also your dishonesty. So you need to make sure what the problem is and find the exact match to address that problem. Um, yeah.
I will conclude it with just one more sentence.
Before you
Mark,
do, before
okay.
you do, for people who are watching, make sure you have to follow us on Instagram, right? Otherwise, Dan will not give his conclusion. And also, if you enjoy how we explain empathy map or what you'd like to see us explain a bit more moving forward, leave a comment below and also give us a like and subscribe. What we want to do is to really make this channel, it's all free what we're doing, but we just want to gather like-minded entrepreneurs together, people who are just starting out in their business, want to get together because sometimes it's a bit lonely on the journey, and we want to just support each other, have each other's back so that we can encourage each other to move on in the same journey, in the same direction. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe. If you're on podcast or YouTube or Facebook Live, share it with a friend. Reach out to us on Instagram, talk to us. You know, we'd be more than happy to share some thoughts if we help you find some clarity. Okay, promotion done. Last bit,
Yeah,
Dan, finish it off.
so before concluding word, I just wanted to say, share this episode with someone that you think will find it useful. So I believe there are people, there are friends of yours who will find it useful because they are early entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs, and they can learn shitloads from it. Let's be honest, shitloads from it. So, okay, concluding word is marketing and sales is about helping people. Think about it before the next time you create any marketing or you make a sale.
Okay, that's it. That's today's
Yes.
episode. Done. We'll leave it there.
Okay. Have a good night.
Okay.
Hope you enjoyed it, and speak to you next week on Wednesday
With some guest interviews.
with some guests. Yeah. I'm waiting for the response, but I guess this person will join us next week.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll leave it there, and see you all. Have a great evening and see you next Wednesday.
Yes. Bye. Have a good night.